I've seen in forever because these new cats don't know how to perform. But anyway, we got a celebrity in the building. We got my man Big Gipp from the Goodie Mob. What up, fam?
What's up, good? What's up with you?
Man, it's an honor, dude. It's an honor in here because we talk about hip-hop groups, and your group, Goodie Mob, paved the way and transcended what groups are supposed to be. So I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you so much, Mello. Thank you so much.
So let's take it all the way back to like the Dungeon family, Outkast.
Yeah.
When Outkast was doing their thing, their first album, was you around for that?
I was around for the entire thing. I'm really before Outkast.
Okay, so
see, I was there the day that Rico's sister brought them to Rico's job, and I played their music, they demo tape in my car.
Oh, really?
So I've been there with the Outkast since Outkast both had blonde hair.
So when you first popped that demo tape in your car, what was your first reaction?
We knew that they could rhyme. We knew that they could rhyme, and I think that really Rico and Ray and Sleepy, they really had the vision. You know, like you got to go back, and when you once we took them from that parking lot, they came over to the Dungeon. Dre never left. Big Boy had to make sure he graduated because at that time, if he didn't graduate, he would have had to go back to Savannah.
Oh, okay.
And at that time, also, him and CeeLo, 3000 to CeeLo was like, oh man, we through with school. They dropped out. And they was there, hey man, we started working on Outkast album.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, I've been there since the first MPC was in my crew. When Big Rube bought the first MPC, I was there.
You was there?
Yeah.
So why did you guys pick Outkast to go first? Because they was ready?
No, at that time, Atlanta was transitioning, and Atlanta was transitioning out of the booty shake whole era. You know, like Luke Skywalker, you know,
Tag
Poison
team,
Clan, Tag Team. It was like we was transitioning, and me and Ray from Organized Noise, we went and performed for LaFace Records when they first got there. Well, see, it didn't start with Outkast. It started with Parental Advisory.
Yeah, that's
Parental
true.
Advisory was the first group from Dungeon to get signed. KP, if everybody know KP Prather, he's like an industry head. He got the new group. He got the new little kid, Cap G from the South Side. He in that new movie Dope.
Okay.
That's my OG. Like he was in the group Parental Advisory. He was the DJ. He was the one who went to Pebbles first, and Pebbles was like, "Yo, I'm gonna put Parental Advisory out." Gipp was on their first album. That was 1993.
Wow.
That was a song called Dope Stories with Parental Advisory and me and Pimp C.
Wow.
So that's how it all started. During that time, Outkast was just around them, watching them.
Okay.
You know, because Organized was working on Parental Advisory's album first. So Outkast performed for LA about 2 or 3 times before we even got a deal. So once we got a deal, they said, okay, let's put all our heads together, and instead of it being about just us, let's make sure we put it all on them. They was the youngsters at the time.
Okay.
So when you heard stuff like Hootie Hoo and stuff like that, that was really stuff like I said in the trap. Me and Cujo said in the trap.
Yeah.
A lot of, if you go back to their first album, that red Cadillac, that was my Cadillac.
Oh, it was?
So when he say hopped off in the lap with Big Gipp, you know what I mean? Like I was always the big homie. And we was always like, yo, right now, let's put all our eggs in their basket. And man, like Players Ball drop. And I remember Greg Street was the first one to play it in Atlanta.
And
when we heard it on the radio, man, I remember all of us walked off our job that same day.
so you said, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, like if the youngest can make it, we gonna make it. And
That's
see what
dope.
people didn't understand, that CeeLo, 3000, and Big Boy, they all the same age. Me, Cujo, Timo, Sleepy, we all the OGs. So they was our little dogs. Like CeeLo at one time was in the same group with Outkast. Like he actually performed like at alternative school. They got actually a actual footage of them performing together.
Oh wow!
Before we even did Outkast.
That's crazy.
So like, and then from that we started working on Outkast, right? So during that same time we're working on Outkast, my homeboy said, yo, man, Gipp, I want you to come over to the house. So I go over there and I see Cujo, and he battling this little dude, and this little dude name is CeeLo. And this was the first time that I saw somebody battling Cujo and then just break out and start singing. And I was like, whoa, I ain't never seen that before. So I ran back to the dungeon and I said, yo, Ray Reek, man, it's this dude on the west side, man. They call him Rollo. They're like, y'all need to see him.
So that was his first name before CeeLo?
Yeah, they used to call him Lil Rollo. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
He was a jacker, man. He was a stick-up kid. Straight up. You know what I mean? So when we brought him to the dungeon, like, dude, he was always the little cat that hung with older cats. And he was a brawler, so he was kind of different. He kind of hung with me and Cujo and all of us. And like Twan and Dre, they kind of hung together because they went to Tri-City together. So that's why when you start hearing the album and you start hearing how the album changing on the first album, and then it gets to Call of the Wild, that's Cujo and Timo.
Yeah.
Then it got to Get Up, Get Out, and Get Some. Now I tell y'all the story behind that. We was on the last songs of putting Southern Players together, and CeeLo said, yo, Reek called me, said he want me to be on the album. He said, Gipp, I got an idea for a song, but I don't know if I want to put it out because it's my song. It was one of my favorite songs that he rapped to me the first verse of Get Up, Get Out, and Get Some. I said, Lo, that song's so good, that ain't gonna be your last song. And he took that advice and went in there and laid that record. And right now, Get Up, Get Out, and Get Some is one of our biggest records we ever laid because that record never dies.
It's amazing because it's a message behind it and everybody can relate to that shit.
He was 17 years old when he wrote that record.
Wow.
He was 17.
He was a genius. I mean, that was a genius moment because that song transcend age, race, creed, whatever. You could all relate to that.
Man. And you know, at the same time, like you gotta look, Twan and Dre was 17, 18 at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we were already in the traps. We was already in the streets and stuff out of high school, and we was really just coming back in the streets, and they would just stand up under Organized every night. Like Dre would just sit there like a student and just sit up under Ray Murray. Like Ray Murray, we call him Yoda. He really the one that really came up with all the music that you heard from them years, like Blackberry Molasses. He the one did the stuff TLC. Like Ray was really like the Yoda at the time. He was the one doing all the music. And Reek was like our mouthpiece. And Sleepy, he was the one that came in with them hooks, man.
The melodies and whatnot. Yeah.
His father being from Brick, he was always around the music industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, man, once we put that all of our heads together, it was a wrap. Then it was like, man, y'all do y'all thing. And then we started working on Goodie Mob.
So tell me the story about, because you said Players Ball, and I've heard this story. How did Players Ball come about, and was it true that L.A. Reid wanted you guys to do a Christmas song for a Christmas album, and you said F that, and that's how Players Ball came about?
That's how it came about. They came back, and we was like, yo, like, you know, Reek came back to the dungeon, he was like, yo, we got to do a Christmas song. LaFace doing a Christmas album. We was like, okay, now how we going to fit in the Christmas album, folks? And then he said, well, you know, we pulled out all the classics. We pulled out, you know, Run DMC Christmas song. We put out all the OG Christmas songs. We were like, okay, the Christmas songs that last are the Christmas songs that's really about everyday life.
Yeah.
And that's how we wrote Players Ball. We wrote it. We said, man, what we need to do, we jump in the Cadillac, ride down Camden Road, think about all the stuff we doing the day of Christmas, and we turned that into a song.
Wow. And what did LaFace think about when you turned that song and said, here's our Christmas song, and it was talking about players and whatnot?
It was crazy because you got to look back then. It wasn't no internet. It wasn't all this stuff to make records just go fast and big in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Players Ball, we dropped Players Ball in November that year, and it didn't blow up to the summer of the next year. It took 6 months for Players Ball to blow up.
Wow.
And it was because it was on a Christmas album.
Yeah.
It was never looked at as a Christmas song. When people started hearing it, they was like, nah, that's everyday life, man. They churching. I love that.
I remember first time seeing it on like UMT Raps or whatever it was. And I remember first time seeing it. And we always had this stigma about down south. Y'all country, y'all Bamas, whatever. And of course, you had UGK, you had other cats kind of doing the thing, but it was never no young, me and 3000 and Big Boy, same age. So it was never no cats in our age bracket that was like, they cold. When Outkast came out, I was like, damn, they sound like us with a little country accent.
Yeah.
I can relate to leaning to the side, my jersey on, doing my thing, hanging out or whatever.
Yeah.
So they brought that realness to the South that was kind of missing because we wasn't all, you know.
It was totally missing because, and it wasn't because we didn't have no success, because you got to look at what Dallas Austin they did for Atlanta, man. Dallas was selling more records than every producer in the industry at that time. So Dallas was doing his thing. Jermaine Dupri was killing for it. Wasn't nobody messing with Jermaine Dupri when it came to putting R&B out and R&B groups at that time. But we still felt like what they were doing were not representing what real Atlanta was.
Yeah.
You know, when you saw Crisscross, you didn't see Atlanta. That was Atlanta, but the way they wore they changed their stuff up and started wearing their pants backwards. It was kind of like, okay,
more of a gimmick than anything else.
Yeah, that was kind of y'all see what ABC doing, and you know we knew, you know what I mean. But when you saw Outkast, you was like, okay, that's the kid that don't be in the videos.
Yeah, that's the guy I can see going down the street on the west side or wherever, and he's standing on the corner. He's just like that.
That's what we wanted people to represent. People didn't start seeing the real Atlanta to Outkast and Goodie Mob came.
Let's talk about what the hell is a woo woo?
Huh? Oh, woo woo?
Yeah, what's woo woo?
Oh man, when you sprinkle down, man, you sprinkle down.
Okay.
Sprinkle down.
Okay. Like, it's funny because like everybody had their own slang for the same type of shit.
Yeah, you know the Wu-Tang call them woos.
Exactly, they call woos. You say woo-woos or whatever and shit.
And another slang for it back then was love boat.
I never heard that one.
Yeah.
I never heard that one.
Because sometimes it's the same situation. You know, you sprinkle down with either that or that. Sometimes that PCP be that love boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out here on the West Coast, that the PCP, they called it the butt naked.
Yeah.
Or the wet. They call it the wet.
Yeah, the wet. Yeah. That's that love boat, man. You gonna get wet, folks. And take your clothes off, roll around the street.
Right? Sit nigga run down the street butt naked. You know what his deal is or whatever.
Hey, that's a bad drug.
Exactly. So the Dirty South, you guys created the term Dirty South. They use it on CNN, ESPN, across the world.
Yeah.
They call it the Dirty South now because of you guys. Who created that term?
Cool Breeze.
Cool Breeze.
Cool Breeze, straight from my neighborhood, East Point. He created that. And him and Reek one day, they called me. It was like, yo, man, Breeze done laid a song for the album. So I was like, okay, I'm on the way to Bosstown. When I got there, he'd already laid it down, man. I was like, hey, man, Cool Breeze, man. Watch for the hook, man.
Watch for the hook.
Yeah, man, he did that.
So now, okay, Cool Breeze he had an amazing single, Watch for the Hook.
Yeah, the only person that could get Outkast and Goodie Mob on one record.
Really? That's the first and the only time that it's ever happened?
That was the first time it happened.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So what happened to Cool Breeze's album? Because I bought his album and it wasn't that great.
Well, you know what it is, man? I think this. It was the fact that we had done all our music and centered all our music with LaFace Records. And once I think Reek them tried to come out here and do a label with Jimmy Iovine, it took Cool Breeze outside of what Cool Breeze would have did. See, we was bringing records to the West Coast. And I feel like they started saying, well, no, you need to kind of do this and do that. And I think he got lost in that instead of just doing him. You know what I mean? Like, LA used to just be like, yo, Cash, Goodie, here go y'all money, do what y'all do. But, you know, when he came out here to the politics of the West Coast, man, like, it kind of was different because, you know, we couldn't just go to the streets here and figure out what was best to drop here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we was in Atlanta, we could just play it for the DJs. They'd be like, okay, that's going to work here. I think Cool Breeze didn't have the same, you know, kind of platform that we had with putting our records out.
Okay.
It took him out of his comfort zone to have to bring his records out here and have somebody from out here tell him whether it was good or bad. Same thing with Witch Doctor, man. I just think at that time
it's funny you brought that up.
You know?
Those two guys, I always talk about. I need my money back because they had amazing singles, and then the album just kind of took a dive down. But that makes sense.
That's when you had some foreign A&Rs trying to tell us what to do with what we do.
That makes sense now. Okay, I'm not mad at Cool Breeze and Witch Doctor now because I hear the story now.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
And they was kind of like, look, man, I ain't about to be listening to nobody that don't come from my neighborhood. I'm cool, man.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then as you said, it put in perspective because when Outkast came out, you guys came out, and then the singles came, like Watch for the Hook came out. I'm like, okay, I see the lane, and all of a sudden it just taper it off, but it makes sense.
Mean, that when you have people, that's one thing. Like, I think if we all come out on LaFace, everybody's albums would have been jamming like everybody else's album. But when you listen to somebody that's 3,000 miles away from where your hotbed is, I think it can start throwing people off. They start trying to do what's going on a little bit out here, and you get lost.
Throw your mojo off. You're right. You're
throw
right.
you off, man, every time.
So let's get back to Goodie Mob.
Yeah.
So you guys are all just homies in the Dungeon family doing your thing. How did the group come about?
The group came about really, like, if you think about it, go back to the first Outkast album. I wasn't even. It wasn't Goodie Mob. It said. Remember, he said when Big Boy said Big Gipp, Goodie Mob. Outkast.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in Goodie Mob then. I was a solo act. Me and CeeLo was solo. Goodie Mob was really started by Cujo Goodie. It used to be Cujo and the P-Funk Goodie Mob. That's where the trap come from. When you heard the word trap, the first person that ever said it was Cujo.
Wow.
So look how many people have made a whole career off trap, and it came from Cujo.
They got trap music.
Yeah, it's trap music. When we was like, yo, man, it's a trap. We was giving y'all the other side of the trap with Goodie Mob. Like, yo, we in the trap, but that's why we did Guess Who and all them kind of records, just to show you, like, you're gonna go to jail doing this, and hopefully you got somebody gonna come look for you.
Yeah.
So we gave you the other side of the streets when we did Goodie Mob. And that's what the trap represents. It's a trap, dog. It's a trap. It look good.
It ain't to be glorified. It's like, yo, this is like, the trap with the cheese on it. It's like, here's this cheese or whatever. You put your hand in there and they gonna get you.
Why is so many of us locked up for the same thing? Now we got people that's trapping and don't look like us, and they can do it legally. Hold up. They need to go and open the jails up and let all them people they locked up for selling weed in, if it's legal out here to do it.
Right?
If I can go in Beverly Hills and look at this man tell me I don't even smoke weed, it was just a great investment, then shit, you need to go there and open the jails up and let a lot of folks out there that thought it was a great investment too.
That's true. So let's get back. You talked about that flag. The flag. You guys talked about that flag, that Confederate flag, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they talking about it again.
Yeah, and then talking about it only in the premise of 8 people being killed in a church, in a historic church. Man, like you gotta understand, man. Like, it's still different in the South. You know what I mean? Some people still feel like, hey, man, that's the way it is. That's the way it's gonna be. You know what I mean? And you gotta understand, this happened with 8 people dying in 2015, and we was talking about how bad the Confederate flag was back then. I just left home. I'm fresh off the plane last night, so. Do you understand that Stone Mountain didn't want to take the Confederate flag down? They didn't want to take it down in Georgia. So what did the hood do? The hood went and stole the flag. they woke up Monday morning, there wasn't no flag. How about that? That's dirty side.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So the flag is still flying. So the flag was flying in all the city buildings around Georgia.
Yeah, because it's still, the Confederate flag is a part of the Georgia flag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little part of the flag that has the Confederate. It's just always gonna let you know, man, that, hey, man, like, it's some people that don't give a damn what you think about it.
So what do you think now? They finally took it down. They made this whole thing about it. Do you think shit's gonna change because they took it down?
Ain't nothing gonna change, man.
Okay.
Ain't nothing gonna change. You gotta understand, man. The Stone Mountain used to be where the Klan used to have rallies.
Yeah. Stone
Mountain is where they used to go and have the big convention. When you see the big pictures where you have 1,000 Klansmen out there standing under a big cross on fire, it should be Stone Mountain.
Wow.
So understand, that's a monument to them people in that culture. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I've seen it all my life. You know what I mean? I've seen the big trucks with the flags hanging off and they mean what they mean. It's just like gangbanging to them. They like, hey, man, this my flag. What's happening?
What you gonna do about it?
Yeah, like, let's get it.
Exactly.
Get down or whatever.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's what I mean. But I the reason why it's so big is because they know that if they don't do something now, see, it's more of us with more power and more money now in this world.
Yeah.
And I think also, let's also say the gay community itself has more power in this world. So I think a lot of things are transpiring that's gonna make the disappearance of symbols disappear. But as far as the actual mindset,
people's feelings is gonna be the same.
Shit, it's gonna be the same, man.
They gonna repurpose it and do it and call it something different.
I've been to parties, man, when these folk got on rocks bigger than your head, man. They ain't tripping about what you look like, man. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care what you. I mean, if you don't get yourself out of them certain situations, you keep putting yourself in certain situations, man. All they do, the law works and works on who puts themselves in them situations.
Anyway, let's get back to the group. So you said originally you wasn't in the group, and then how did you guys say, you know what, we are going to be Goodie Mob, and this is what we're going to do?
Because Reek them said, hey, man, we've never had a guy like CeeLo, as young as he is, that can still preach, sing, and do his thing. Gipp, you are actually a ghetto superstar. Cujo, you are actually a goon that can rhyme.
Yeah.
Timo, he was actually a college dude, went to school, was already in managing hotels at the time. Damn. And Timo was just always about just, yo, whatever Joe doing, I'm down. So
wow.
That's how Goodie Mob came about. Once we did Get Up, Get Out, and Get Something, we went out on tour. Our first tour was Biggie Smalls, Craig Mack, Outkast, and Goodie Mob.
Wow.
And by us just doing the songs together on that first tour, we was like, yo, this the group. And we all homeboys and we grew up anyway.
And it was a natural progression after that.
Yeah, because I was coming from a group called East Point Chain Gang. That was me. That was a group that I was in with Cool Breeze. And also with Chieftain that y'all heard on Still Standing.
Oh, okay.
So I was from the East Point Chain Gang. Cujo and Timo, they from the West Side. They were the Goodie Mob. They were the P-Funk Goodie Mob. And CeeLo was always just a one-man gang. He did singing and he was rapping. So he was just special at the time. We was just looking at him like, yo, this guy's special. He was the first one I saw break out and start singing. So to me, everybody singing in hip hop right now, hey man,
they owe it to CeeLo.
They owe it to Low and Lauryn Hill, cause them were the only two doing it back then when we came out.
That's true. That's
only
true.
two.
That's true. So let's get into your first single. Your very first single was Cell Therapy, correct?
Cell Therapy got us banned off MTV as soon as it dropped.
Why?
They said we were racist.
Because of what?
They said that the information inside that song was totally racist and against popular culture. So
did you get a letter in the mail like that? How did they tell y'all?
They contacted LaFace and said that we was banned from MTV and anything that had anything to do with MTV. And that's when the law school of Harvard called us, and we flew to Harvard and was in a room full of children, in a room full of our peers at the time, explaining what were these things we was talking about inside of Cell Therapy. We was the first group to really bring the Illuminati and everything that has to do with the Illuminati to the light.
We got my man Big Gipp in the building, and he telling us some stories that I've never heard before. So we gonna tell the same story again. So the Source Awards, you said the tension was so thick.
The tension was so
what
thick.
year was that? That was 97?
Yeah.
97.
Yeah. Pocket just went to jail. Pac was still in jail, and the tension was so. It was just like going to Pelican Bay. It was just like the yard. Because you gotta understand, this was the first time in hip hop that all of us was in the same room.
So paint the picture. Who was in the room? So it was Goodie Mob.
You had good. I tell you, who came in with my crew?
Okay.
We was 7 deep. It was Goodie Mob, both the Outkast, and a girl called Shanti Doss. She's just a legend. She's from Atlanta.
Okay.
Now we was just 7 deep. Wu-Tang was about 200 deep. Death Row came in about 150 deep. Of course, Brooklyn was big, man. Brooklyn was definitely big. Big came in about 100. He had 100 of Brooklyn with him. And then we talking about the Mob Deeps. We talking about everybody else, the Queens crew.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, at that same time, you got Big Mike, I'm So Serious. His record was up for Lyricist of the Year from Texas.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay. At the same time, we got Thrill from 69 Boys had a big record, man. Tootsie Roll was huge. Really, you got to look at one of the first records from that time to go pop. to go crossover. Like that record really went crossover.
Yeah,
they had the dance, they had everything that went with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, it was the first time all of us was in one room together. And it was, and you know, when you in one room together and testosterone at that time, everybody was goons then. It wasn't no bodyguards. Everybody was front line. So, you know, like all the stuff that was going on, like you had MC8 and Quick at the time going in it. That was the first night I seen that Death Row had problems with Bone. I didn't know about the West Coast beef with Bone and Death Row. You know, we didn't know that Wu had problems with Bad Boy because they felt like Bad Boy was who they felt like ran New York. So they felt like...
So you said the Wu had beef with all of New York.
All of New York, really. Because the Wu... The first night we performed in New York, the first night Outkast performed in New York, this was April 26, 1996, 95. The first album dropped. That night that we was performing in New York, around the corner was Wu-Tang performing in the club, and that was the first time they performed in Manhattan, New York. Protect Your Neck.
Oh, damn.
And after both these concerts was over, we all found each other, kicking it with each other, in Times Square drinking Boom Farms till the sun came up, kicking it. And we was like, yo, we was talking about how at that time New York wasn't feeling us and wasn't letting our rap, and we was platinum, home. We was like, we platinum, dog, and you gonna tell you we ain't on the radio? You know, and that was our gripe. And at that time they was looking at it like, yeah, man, like we are probably 9 or 10 of the most awesomest MCs that New York got right now.
And like, they wasn't on the radio either.
And they wasn't on the radio. You know what I mean? And at the same time, we stayed up there. The next night we had another show, just Goodie Mob, Biggie Smalls, and Fat Joe. That was the first time we met Fat Joe. And we watched Fat Joe perform, and they booed Fat Joe at a club. And that was the first time that we saw that Fat Joe, you know, Latinos at that time wasn't accepted in hip hop. It was like Fat Joe was like, "Ooh, what are you like?"
Yeah, he was definitely not the norm.
He wasn't the norm.
No.
So I remember him and his brother, man. We all walked down the street together, like, man, we gonna crack this shit one day. One day they're gonna have to listen to us. And I remember that's how me, Goodie Mob, and Fat Joe, and all of us and our relationships with his brother, it started then. And I remember we left there the next night. He said, man, I want y'all to come. Big Pun got a show in Bronx at this club called Jimmy's. And we went, and that was the last show Big Pun did, and I got to see him perform.
Oh, wow.
That was also the same night the Cuban Links got cut in his face.
Oh, damn. So you was there for that?
Man, it was gangster then, man. It wasn't no phones, man. It wasn't no world star.
It wasn't none of that. It wasn't none of that.
Yeah, it wasn't none of that then.
So you can get away with some shit back then.
Yeah, you could do somebody real dirty, man.
Yeah. So let's go back to the source. So the tension was thick.
It was thick,
so every
man.
time somebody got on stage, cats was booing, throwing up their hoods or whatever. So paint the picture when Outkast won for best group. Was it best group?
Yeah, we won for best group. And
they started booing.
And I remember before we even when they said Outkast, they just started booing. We were just like, what? So Dre and Big was like, Goodie, y'all come up with us. And if y'all look at that picture, y'all see me stand right behind Dre.
Right behind him, yeah.
I was like, Shawty, anybody come out, I'm telling you, I got that thing. Anybody they gonna get it tonight. You know what I mean? Cause I was just like, yo, man, say it, Shawty. Don't hold back. He was like, man, it's so hard, man. Like, we work so hard to get recognized by a place that we feel like you supposed to get recognized by, and that's New York. That's for your beats, originality, beats, stories, and just hip hop. And man, for us to win and get booed, it put a real bad taste in our mouth. That's when we got back on the plane. We went back to Atlanta, and we said, we're gonna beat y'all. We're gonna beat y'all by having the greatest music and the greatest lyrics and the greatest songs. That's why we went and started snatching their OGs. We started snatching at. Remember now, when nobody messing with Slick Rick till we did Storytelling.
That's true.
New York had left.
Eric Sermon came down there.
Come on, folks.
Too Short went down there.
Come on, folks.
Yeah.
We lit up everybody's career. That Too Short wasn't getting love on the West Side. Lil Jon said, "Come here, OG. Put you on that goddamn that song, man." And hey, man, Short ain't looked back since John gave him one, has he?
You right.
Come on, man. Like, we always show love.
E40 got down there with Lil Jon too. So yeah.
When the whole thing was going on with Lil Kim, when she first was about to leave Bad Boy, guess where she was at? In Atlanta with CeeLo. Like, man, I'm telling you, man, everybody was in Atlanta trying to figure it out because they was coming in. Puff first place, when he left New York, he was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like
he had the shootout in Atlanta. Shit.
Man, and I was with my homeboy, Miami Bo.
Yeah.
So it's like the shooter, and he had a few in Atlanta, you know, like, and the whole thing.
One thing about Puffy ain't no punk though. Like when that news came out, he beat up the coach or whatever. Everybody, that's Puffy. He dancing around.
Nah,
Puffy ain't no punk.
Y'all don't know, man. Puff back in the day. You understand? Puff them the creators of the $100 at the door parties.
Yeah.
That started in Harvard. I mean, at Howard, when he used to have Outkast. Outkast would perform Players Ball and Big would perform Party and bullshit. $100 you had to get in, stand in line. I was like, yo, y'all paying $100 to get in the club? you know, because I was like, if you think about it, we was coming out of the Fugees, we was all off into the head rap. You know, we in the 70s, we kicking it. So when people start saying $100 for the club, I was kind of like, whoa, that's a little too rich for my blood, you know?
It is.
That's whoa. Like,
it is.
What y'all doing in there for $100?
Right? What do I get for $100?
So, you know, so, hey, man, and look what that ushered in. That ushered in the whole BMF thing.
That is. Yeah.
Hey, man. You know what I mean? So them times were just different because I really felt like everybody at them times really just wanted to be respected. You know, same with Snoop. You know what I mean? Same with, you know, like for them not to recognize Corrupt so many years for not being one of the rawest in the game. Like,
so you told this story about Corrupt after the Source Awards. He said him and Daz walked outside.
They walked outside,
and
everybody who walked outside that thought they was somebody in this rap game, they served them up.
In a rap freestyle.
Hey, man, he went right off the top of his head, man. He gave it to him West Coast style.
And that's where that line in New York said, that night I served 2,000 MCs. It came from that right there.
Came from that night right there. All us walking out and being like, man, we felt disrespected. You know what I mean? Because they felt disrespected. I mean, Big won, but even in the category with Big, we felt that Big Mike album was better than Big album at the time. We felt like Big Mike was a better lyricist at that time.
Big Mike was cold. Big Mike was
cold, dog.
He was cold.
Like when Big Mike left that, I didn't know Big Mike had so much to do with the Death Row stuff. I didn't know.
He was writing. He was over there writing.
Yeah.
Back. Yeah, he was. Yep.
That's why he had beef with Suge over a girl.
Oh,
that's why he went back to, he went back to the South, went back and got down with Jay Prince. And you see, it ain't never been no problem with Jay Prince. He go from one end of the states to the next end, ain't gonna have no problem, man.
Never.
That's a super OG.
Yeah, man. Right? Triple OG.
He was set in the building on the other side of the room, boy, and you'll see them diamonds. Damn, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, of course, we didn't understand then, but then I said, hey, man, we're gonna put out a Goodie Mob record. First person gonna be on the Goodie Mob record. If Low not gonna be there, gonna be Corrupt. Jay Wells produced the track. I called out here. Corrupt jumped on the plane. If you don't know, Corrupt is West Coast Dungeon Family. Always has been. First time we ever performed in LA. Our first promotional tour throughout the hood. A dude named Scotty Spencer put us in the band. We was in one band, and the Dog Pound was in another band. And 666 Mafia was in another van. And that was before it wasn't not one rapper that stayed in Hollywood. If you didn't stay by the airport, you stayed in South Central. And we went to every mom and pops and rapped Cell Therapy and the Dog Pound rapped their first single, and we did it out in front of every mom and pop stores in South Central. I got taken to I went to the Jungle, I went to Watts, I went to Grape Street, I went to VIP. I still got actual film of the first time Goodie Mob went to the Slauson Mall and we jumped out and went into the Slauson Mall. I still got it on film to this day. I'm gonna put it. It's gonna be in a new documentary because y'all gonna get to see LA and what LA looked like in the '90s for real. No cameras.
We need that. We need that. So let's get into the Play Your Flute. He just would just freestyle his ass off the whole time. I'm like, yo, this dude is cold as shit. Wow. And now when the world say the same thing, I'm like, yo, like that dude, you know what I'm saying, still to this day, you know what I'm saying, you turn a beat on and let him go and he just gonna kill it.
He just gonna kill it, man. He just left Atlanta, about 3 weeks ago, and he was with Yoda the whole time.
He was?
Just killing it. Yeah, he working on some new stuff, man. I heard Dr. Dre been calling all the soldiers back in, man. So,
yeah.
You know, when Corrupt get called, you already know when Corrupt get called, it's almost done.
He cooking, yeah. He cooking. Just so yeah. Rumor has it he got a joint coming out. So so now let's get into what you doing now. What you doing currently?
What we doing currently, man? You know, I went and got a new deal with Epic Records with LA and Sylvia, man. I put out one single called Shine Like Gold with me and CeeLo. We went overseas and we toured all overseas during the winter months, man. We were doing all the festivals. Outkast was on one side, we was on the other side, and we did like 80,000, 100,000 every night, all during the winter. Dropped that single, did good overseas, top 20, you know what I mean? Then I just dropped about 2 or 3 months ago, I dropped a record with me and Eric Benet called Beautiful Lover. That's done real good on the top, 100 on the charts. And then, so I've been out here in LA for about 3-4 years, you know what I mean? So I was kind of like, yo, everybody don't know Future, that's Dungeon Family. So, little brother back at the crib, killing it. Like nephew, he dropping 2 and 3 mixtapes, he just killing the streets. So I was like, let me go back home and see what's happening. So I went back home, went over to B.O.B. studio. I'm hanging out with Bob and all the, the whole little, Grand Hustle crew, T.I., and so I go in the studio with this dude named everybody know Shroud. Shroud did this song with me and Scotty ATL. It was like Scotty's first song. So I did a song with Scotty, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go in the studio with Shroud. Man, I did this street record, and man, all the street cats in the hood was like, OG, you back on it, drop this. So I did this record called I Ain't Trippin', man. I'm gonna do the video in about 2 weeks. I'm going back to the original spot we shot Players Ball, Sykes Park, East Point. And I'm about to do it all over again for the Dungeon Family, man. We coming all the way. I told you, man, every time we come, we gonna get it out the mud, man. We don't do that pop life, man. We gonna go back to the hood, shake hands, get back in the mix, and get it right back out the mud, man.
You gonna pull the Cadillac out?
Man, I'm gonna have all of them out, man. I got a few, man.
He said all of them now, not just one.
Hey, man, I got a few, man. Like I told them, man, my Cadillac's more famous than some of these rappers, man. Man, my Cadillac been in more videos than your career, boy. You better. My Cadillac been around 20 years. You got a long way to go, pimp.
So let's get into some new music. Before we get into I Ain't Trippin', we just literally downloaded some new hot shit. You like, shit, I'm on the West Coast. I'm gonna give White Label Radio that new exclusive shit. Talk about it. You got this song called Gangsta with my man Corrupt.
Yeah. And see, let me let y'all know, like the gang stuff going on in Atlanta so bad. It's like 85 LA in Atlanta right now. Because right now in Atlanta, it's the most unique pot of gumbo that's ever been created. See, in Atlanta, you got people from the West Coast, you got people from Chicago, and you just got people that's from the South. So, okay, where I'm from, everybody wear red and black because you already know. The Falcons, you know what I mean?
Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs,
yeah.
Like that's what we do.
The Hawks.
But you know, at the same time, the Crip culture came into Atlanta. At the same time, the Chicago culture in Atlanta. So now you got Bloods, Crips, Gangster Disciples, and Vice Lords. And you know who else showed up in Atlanta?
Who?
The Cartels.
Oh, okay. So you got the essays out there, huh?
So when I go into Magic City now, I see the cholos, the ones that wear they clothes up by their breasts. Like, boy, hey, folks, and they be in there looking like, hey, man, what's happening? You know what I mean? So now, it's no mixture of it's no other city with that kind of gang culture mixture.
You're right.
It's never happened before. You've never had Chicago gangs in the same city as West Coast gangs.
No, you have not.
So the beefs and the amount of violence has tripled in Atlanta. So me and Corrupt did this song called Gangsta, and really what we doing is just letting y'all know, man, It's death that comes behind the flags, man. And the only thing that's gonna keep you out of this trouble is education and knowing where you want to be as a person. Because you join that culture, man, you're gonna go where that culture takes you, and that's the graveyard or the penitentiary.
I ain't tripping right there. He went back to the trap.
Yeah,
with it.
Yeah, man. And the biggest thing made me jump on this track, man, because man, when I heard this record, I said, man, Pimp C could have produced this record.
Yeah,
it got that organ in there, man. I said, Shroud, you got me, man. It put that bone in me, man. The spirit of Sweet Joan Jane got me in there. I got down, man. That's one for the pimp.
That's what's up. Rest in peace, Pimp C. Have you read the book yet? Julia Beverly just dropped the book or whatever.
I'm all in the book.
You in the book?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
all in the book, man.
Okay.
So you need to read it, and I'm gonna tell you some of them stories me and Pimp had.
I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna bring you back, and we gonna talk about the stories or whatever. Man. So now, when we wrap up the show, you got social media.
Yeah, I got social media. I got Twitter, man. I got Facebook. I got Instagram.
So where can we find you at?
It's at Gipp Goodie. And at Gipp Goodie, just at Gipp Goodie, you can find me
Gipp
everywhere.
is G-I-P-P, Goodie?
Yeah, G-I-P-P, G-O-O-D-I-E, one word, man. And yo, man, I talk back, man. Talk to me. I talk bike. I talk bike, how they say in the side.
And what else you got going? So you dropping a new album?
I'm dropping a new album on Epic Records. I'm gonna be on all kind of people. If y'all start listening, I'm gonna be on all kind of people remixes. I went home to Atlanta and jumped on about 15 records, so I'm on all the youngest new stuff coming out. And I got some movies about to come out. I just finished shooting a movie. Y'all saw that we had a TV show. We don't got that exact TV show no more, but I'm going back into another production to do another television show with
Goodie Mob.
No. I think I might pull Eric Benet out the house, man. We might make a real television show out of what we did with Beautiful Lover.
What happened to the Goodie Mob reality show because of the situation with
CeeLo, with the debacle of the Twitter? Y'all can see it, man. It didn't just start with CeeLo. CeeLo's one of the people that y'all could look at, but look at what they're doing to Donald Trump, man. It's just that what y'all got to understand in this new world, they are conditioning you to be able to not be able to say nothing. Opinion will get you fired. Opinion will get you sponsors left, all kind of stuff. Your life can change by just saying the wrong thing. So we lost our television show with TBS, but it's all good. We gonna come back with another one.
We bounce back. That's what we do.
Man, we've been here 20 years, man. I got this thing, man. They ain't doing nothing I ain't dealt with already. So it's like, cool. All right. It's all good. I'll be right back in another way in the fashion of form with a new TV name. I ain't tripping.
So when can we expect the album?
The album? I don't know. I'm going to just keep dropping singles, man, because as you see, man, like we in a time and in a culture, man, where people don't care nothing about no album.
No, you're right. They go to iTunes and buy that one single for 99 cents or whatever it is.
So what I did, I said, okay, let me get out of the album mind state. Let me go back to these singles. These singles is what catch the youngins. So let me go and just do a couple of singles like that. So I've been in the studio with Shawty Red. I've been in the studio with Zaytoven, the same person that just did March Madness for Future. So and he the trap lord anyway.
So will we ever get a Big Gipp Future collaboration since he done your family?
That's gonna be real soon. It's gonna be real soon. But I'm gonna hold that one. It's gonna be real soon though.
That's the one you gonna hold close to your vest, huh?
Yeah. When I drop that one, boy, we're gonna change the shade. We're gonna change the sunshine. It's gonna change, man.
It's gonna shift some planets, huh?
Yeah. So I mean, with that, man, I'm doing me. I'm back out here. I'm just doing this. Then I'm gonna shoot back to Atlanta. I'm gonna shoot this I Ain't Tripping video in Sykes Park where we shot the original Players Ball. We're gonna start it all the way over. When
you shooting that?
In about a week, I'll be in Atlanta, man. It's hot in Atlanta.
I'm
man.
inviting myself. Every time somebody talking about shooting the video, I need to be in that joint. You know what I'm saying? With the old school and shit. You know.
We're gonna do the video during the day. We're gonna have a car show, and then at night we're gonna do it at night swim party, because in Atlanta, boy, it be 12 o'clock at night and it's still 95 degrees.
It's 90 degrees out there. You heard up.
Hey, man, that's when we do the at night swim parties, man. Ain't nothing like that.
That sound like a party right there. We all going to Atlanta, damn it.
Yeah, it's our version. When you go to the hills out here, that's our version. Like once you go to one of the mansions in the woods, man, and you got the swimming pool, but then you got the bar downstairs that you can see inside the swimming pool. The girls, you got to go over Dallas House and go on the spaceship to see that kind of stuff. But it's going down. It's going down.